Hello everybody, how's it going? How you doing? So today we're doing something a little fun. Yes, the sticker says kill me. So random. Today we're gonna be doing a tier list. I've never done anything like this on the channel before, and I kind of wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to see, I don't know, how it'll go. If you guys enjoy this, you want to see my awesome tier list for Radiohead's albums. So yeah. Alright, so first up we have Pablo Honey. Honestly, it is like literally a I Wanna Be Nirvana / like Oasis album. It's so unoriginal, bland, honestly. It's really like just straight up rock music as opposed to literally any other album Radiohead has made. Yeah. You know, I really don't know what else to say about that record. It is very forgetful, and definitely, if you ask me, is the worst Radiohead record of all time. So we're gonna be putting that in the bottom tier here. Just not into it at all. Just really not good. It's going in the F tier for me. Alright, next up we have The Bends. Definitely a major improvement from Pablo Honey. Still not really my favorite. There are people I know that say that this is their favorite of all time from them. I still don't love how much really kind of heavier rock influence it is. It's not as strange or as unique, I feel like, as later albums are. High and Dry is still a great song though. I love Fake Plastic Trees. Those are great songs. I still love them to death. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely not my favorite, as I said, but I definitely like the album cover. I think it's kind of creepy and weird and awesome in that way. I do like the aesthetic of the opening song. I also love My Iron Lung. Another great one. Bulletproof, Wish I Was. All great songs. It has a lot of good songs. So I think I'm gonna be putting it in that C tier, because there is one or two that are just a little too heavy for me, a little too rocky, and remind me a little too much of, well, Pablo Honey. Alright, next up we have, well, what everyone says is the best, OK Computer. Definitely great all around. I love the writing on it, some of the best lyricism, and honestly some of the most cynical, most like miserable lyrics, but a lot of it is still even accurate today, I feel like. Even back in the 90s, just kind of that feeling of isolation, that feeling of kind of just annoyed and anger with the world around you, and almost this just whiny, bitter feeling. Like, people feel that, and I could totally admit I felt that way before too about things. And Thom Yorke is very straightforward with that on this record, and kind of the digital era that album was coming out in a very pinnacle time in the world of like technology really coming to full frontally forward. Like, just it's coming and it's there, and there's a danger because it could AI and all this stuff is dangerous stuff. I mean, it's crazy and it's mind-blowing how ahead of its time, honestly, it kind of felt like the message was that album represents. Great production, flows super well too all around. You know, I don't think it's my favorite of all time though. There's just a couple over here that are just, it's tough. It really is tough to put a favorite, I say, on any of them, but I think that I will be putting this in the S tier because it is just so darn good. Alright, next up we have Kid A. This one I probably listened to the most and I remember the most of. I listened to it a lot growing up. Don't ask why. But it is somber, it is dark, it is strange and confusing, but I love every aspect of it because of that. There is so much complete divide between OK Computer and this album. It is like a different band altogether just made OK Computer, and then another band made Kid A. there's just such a difference between the two albums, and there's such a difference in sound. And again, just came out at this pinnacle time of technology, and it's 2000. That is the turn of the century, pretty much. Like it is like that came out at such an important time in the world, and it has so much history behind it, and it's iconic. I mean, the OK Computer is the same way. They are iconic albums, and for them to make two literal masterpieces, if you ask me, back to back is insane. And they're critically acclaimed masterpieces at that as well. So I think I'm going to be putting that into the S tier. I have nothing to say that hasn't already been said about how great it is, so yeah. Next up we have Amnesiac, which is another record from Radiohead that is that is controversial, I guess, because a lot of people love it or hate it. I have heard a lot of people say it's their worst. I don't think it's their worst by any means. I've listened to this one and Kid A back to back a lot. They are kind of sister records to each other, and I know they were recorded at the same time. I love You and Whose Army. That was kind of the song that got me into Radiohead. Really got me into it. Like, when I was a kid, I still heard Kid A, but I didn't really think anything of it. I was a kid. And it was like, oh, that one band, okay, whatever. But hearing You and Whose Army in a movie, which was Insandi, I think is how you say it. It's a foreign film. Totally got me into it. I loved it ever since then, and I just dug way deeper into the band and their history and the rest of their discography, and the rest is history, because holy crap, they're great. So for that, I do love this album, but for some of the tracks being a little bit maybe more forgetful, maybe even there's some that I feel like, honestly, I do skip. I think that we're going to put this in the C tier, just because of that. It's not that it's bad, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely not my favorite by any means from them. It's kind of just in the middle for me. Alright, next up we have Hail to the Thief. This one is another one that is pretty hard for me to really place anywhere, because it is very long, to be honest, and Radiohead's been known to say that they wish they would have cut some songs off of it, which I agree probably would have benefited it. I like the message of it, of like consumerism and capitalism and all these things, these big topics that are heavy. I think it does a pretty decent job at kind of touching on it and how the band might feel about it, or just Tom might feel about it. It's got some great songs, I will say that. Sail to the Moon is a banger. I love that song. It's really depressing and simple, but I like that. There's a lot of good piano work on it, I remember. The mixing is pretty good too. But yeah, it is a little too long, if you ask me. It is a little too long. And for that, I think I'm going to be putting this one right next to Amnesiac in that C tier. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but it's definitely another one that is kind of just in the middle for me. I'd, of course, listen to it, but I don't think it's one that I'm going to put on and be like all the way through without skipping something. It's just not that kind of record for me. All right, next up we have In Rainbows. Wow. What a fresh feeling from going from Hail to the Thief to this. In Rainbows is lighter, it's not as heavy, it's freeing, I would say, as compared to all of the previous records, honestly. It's less cynical, it's less miserable and dark, and like big, huge concepts that are deep, It's really good. I cannot say that there's a single skip on that album. On first listen, did not like it at all, actually. It took me a little bit to get into it, but the more I listened to it, the more I was like, wow, Weird Fish, this is really good. Wow, I love Reckoner. Wow, I love House of Cards, like Nude. All of those songs are just so good. I don't even know where to begin with how good they are. Literally some of the best music, if you ask me, ever. Definitely, I would say it's probably my favorite record from them. It really depends on the mood. Honestly, and again, this thing has been out for so long, there's really not much else to say that hasn't been said. It's incredible. It's literally one of the best pieces of music ever composed, if you ask me. And of course, I'm putting that in the S tier. Alrighty, and then next up we have The King of Limbs, which I have already done a reaction to about a month ago, I think, and I kind of definitely shared my thoughts on it a lot in there. I think this is such an underrated album from them. There's a lot of songs on it that I can't see skipping. I've always enjoyed Good Morning, Mr. Magpie, Feral, and Codex, and Bloom is incredible too. What a great opener. It's super trippy and weird, and I love that. Echoey. It is a good album. I like it a lot. Like, I don't know, I've never understood why people don't like it, really. I don't think it's perfect, though. Again, there is a little bit of an emptiness in some of the production that could have been filled, I feel like. But it gets a lot of hate, and I don't know why. That's my honest take. So we're going to be putting that in the A tier. Yes, I'm putting King of Limbs in the A tier. You can fight me. I think it's a really good record. I think it is solid, and it is hated unnecessarily. Lastly, we have Moonshaped Pool. This one is one that I have studied a lot. I have listened to probably just as much as I have in Rainbows. Those two and Kid A, those like three all together were the three that I've listened to the most from them. I think. I can't track it. I don't use Spotify. I'm a boring person who listens to it on vinyl, and I have CDs. Fight me. I own CDs. I know. Anyways. A Moonshaped Pool is incredibly depressing. It is about loss and pain and depression, and yeah, I mean, most of their albums kind of are, but it has its own unique feel. The album cover perfectly represents the feeling of just this black and white, kind of just black hole, almost. This pool that you're floating in. The album, I would say, is not one that you skip around or you listen to one song. It is honestly one that you sit through the whole thing. You need to listen to that as a whole, as opposed to In Rainbows, I feel like, where you could listen to anything on In Rainbows and have a great time. But Moonshaped Pool is one that you have to listen to as a whole, if you ask me, to really grasp it. It is a little bit slow sometimes, I feel like, yes, but it's not to the point where it's boring. Each song builds and builds into this great symphony as a whole. It is really, really, really good. It is produced incredibly well, and I think it's good enough for me to even put that in the S tier, if you ask me. So I'm putting that in the S tier. Moonshaped Pool is almost a masterpiece, if you ask me. So it's good. It's almost there enough that I could justify putting it in there, I would say. So yeah. Anyways, you guys, do you agree? Do you disagree? This is how I feel about all of Radiohead's discography. If you disagree, please leave a comment below, or just regardless, leave a comment below. If you guys enjoyed the video and you want to see different bands like Beach House or 21 Pilots, even though they don't really have that many albums. Daft Punk, another one that they don't really have many albums. But just really bands and artists I really like. I could even do Joji, even though he's only got like 4 projects now. But I'm down to do it. If you guys want to see more of these, just let me know. Tame Impala would be another great choice. I don't know. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys later.